and welcome back to another episode of Zach Talks Hawks, but specifically here for our ZFL football content. And we are going to be organizing a new league here on Madden 12, and I cannot wait for this ride to begin. But we're going to wait one more episode before we get into our preseason coverage, because this is all about getting hyped for the players that we're going to root for on the Seattle Vipers. I want to go over with you some players that I think are going to be locked into some position battles, some players that I think on this team really need to show up in the preseason to justify some of their contracts, and then also just to talk about very quickly some guys that I think could be front runners for team captains as we move forward together. Now, something interesting that I really want to emphasize here is right now it's unavailable because here we are in the preseason, but player roles is something that we are going to have the ability to play with here in just a little while. Player roles is obviously captaincy, but it's also who's the superstar on your team, who's the dependable backup on your team. These are things that players want in real life Madden, like Madden 22, but they were available here in Madden 12. So again, I'm not going to beat a dead horse here with my criticisms of Madden. That's already been said here on the internet, but I just wanted to bring that to your attention because there's so much immersion to be had here in Madden 12, so much customization to be had here in Madden 12. We have an expanded roster with 75 players on it right now. We have roles that can be defined here in the near future. It's just really a very interesting dynamic here in a game that's over 10 years old that you wish to have features like this, right? Roster breakdown, this kind of stuff just isn't on Madden. It's bizarre to look at this and to go, well, if it was here 10 years ago, why isn't it here now? But regardless, let's take a look here at our team as it stands. So we want roster breakdown. No, I was just on this screen. See, I did this before. The second time I've recorded this, and I've made that same mistake twice. Player management, because we want to see all the players on this team. Good. All right, here we are, guys. We talked about Stephen Arnold and how we feel that he is going to be the quarterback of the future, not just because of his 91 rating, but this is going to be a theme, the fact that he is locked in for 7 years. Yes, that's right. When Madden builds you a new team, it randomly gives you how many years are left on their contract. So as you can see down here, we have Jamie Murray, who is a fringe practice squad guy, but he's got a 3-year contract. So what do we do with him? I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see. A real position battle here. The quarterback room is obviously going to be for QB2. Connor Campbell versus Trevon Cox out of Wake Forest. Both are on 1-year deals. If they do shape up to have decent potential, if we do discover their real overall rating here in the preseason, the one who does the worst very well might be traded. And then also Jamie Murphy's just a complete toss-up. So a couple guys to be really keen on, but it looks like Stephen Arnold's gonna be the guy based on this kind of fog of war rating we have going on here, not knowing him before the season starts. Again, something I wish real life Madden had, but we don't know that for sure. But here we are in the running back room, and a main position battle is who's going to be the bell cow of this team. Is it going to be Austin Brown, the 5'10", 184 back from Colorado, or the 5'11" back Denzel Grove, 234 from Wake Forest? We are sort of stuck with the running back room how it is from top to bottom. So we might be seeing guys like Anthony Sutton and Malachi Murrow getting some playing time on this team, whether it be through auto subs or formation subs. I'm not quite sure yet, but the main battle is going to be between kind of the more shifty back, if we go over here, We're going to see his spin moves a little bit better. Juke moves pretty comparable, but it looks like, I mean, look at this guy's strength, right? Stiff arm 92 overall. Denzel Grove might just have a Chris Carson archetype waiting within him. Let's hope the injuries don't follow him. Fullback. It's a really sad story here at fullback because it looks like Clarence Asante is the answer. He's got a 3-year deal. The other guys have 1-year deals. It'll depend on how valuable these guys are in terms of their usefulness on the team, because we very well might trade them both, because it looks like Clarence Asante needs to make a name for himself and do it quickly here with a 3-year deal, because he's our fullback of the future, whether we like it or not. Carlos Phillips here is, well, the guy on a very, very sad wide receiver room. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Zach, didn't you say in the last video that there's free agents available, like Hushmanzada and Terrell Owens? Like, what are these guys doing here? Well, one of the rules that we have here for year 1 of the Seattle Viper franchise is I do not want to take free agents unless if it's absolutely necessary. And what that means is we get to our player minimum and we need to go and get a guy. I put that rule in place because I want to see the guys that are on the team perform well and really show what they're made of. I want to be able to say, you know, we built this team from the inside out. The reason why I think Carlos Phillips is our number 1 dude is because he's got 71 overall carrying, which is tied for the most out of these guys. And then there is a rating over here that stands out above the rest. It would be run block. He, out of these guys that are, you know, useful on the roster, he's got a better run block, so he can block a little bit more on the outside. These two I'm really interested in, just because Jackson Grammer and Teron Stone, they both have really good run blocking abilities. It'll be interesting to see what they can do. Look at Carlos Phillips, 62 kick power. I didn't even notice that until right now. If our kickers are bad, do we know his accuracy? 37. I mean, still, that's not bad. The main battle in the wide receiver room is going to be between wide receivers 2, 3, 4, 5, and maybe 6 and 7. I don't know. But who's going to get the most playing time out of this 3 wide receiver set? Phillips, I think, in my opinion, is a lock. The other guys, not so much. Very interested in Jackson Grammer because he's 6'3". He's naturally the tallest guy on here, so maybe a red zone threat. We'll see. Taking a look at our tight end room, it's pretty much how you read it. We got a 3-year deal here in Jermaine Tamini and a 5-year deal in Brady Bohannon. Both guys are guys that I think can produce at a really high level, just because of their stature and you know how they're situated on our depth chart. They don't really have a lot of competition behind them. Be interesting to see how Benjamin Douglas and Jeff Mosley compete for perhaps the last roster spot as tight ends. But in all reality, I expect big things from Tamini and Bohannon as the year goes along. Now things get complicated with our line situation because the left side of the line, as you can see, is pretty good. You got Eldrin Watts and Chris Kotis, who both can start on their Fog of War overall at least, and Deandrick Kaiser's a really good backup at left tackle. Same thing here at left guard. You got Byron Pierce and Dylan Piper, who are both, at least according to their Fog of War stuff, are quality starters. Good thing is, 3 out of the 4 guys have multi-year contracts. So we have a long time to figure that out. The other side of the line, not so much. So the way I see it is, we're going to give both of these guys, for both of these positions, fair shots to earn their starting role in their natural position set. And then, whichever one does the least, we're going to put them on the other side, and they're going to be starters. Center's pretty locked up, so Odom is the guy. These two are going to be battling for a roster spot, basically. I'm very interested in Brian Gibson because he does have a 5-year contract. Not too thrilled on having a 5-year contract be the guy that is, well, behind. So I would really like to see some production out of Brian, maybe boost that overall a little bit so we can trade him and maybe pair him with a high-end backup just to get him off the roster. So here we are in our left end group, and this is where things are pretty cut and dry. Jamarius Woods is the guy. He's like top 4 on the roster in terms of talent. He's got 3 years left on his contract. This is going to be a guy who I think is going to be kind of the leader of the defense. We don't know a ton about him other than he's a heavy hitter, 6'2", 257, really knows how to get in the backfield and cause mischief. I think the only thing that could send him back is if he's got crazy injury numbers and Jamarius is just injured all the time. I hope I didn't just speak that into being, but we have that on clip just to make sure. But it's realistic that Dietrich Norris isn't a 14 overall, but these guys aren't even going to be close to Woods' talent. So these two are going to be fighting for a roster spot. If they cannot overwhelm the production of J.W. Riggs and Denard Perry, we're going to do the same thing over here than what we did on the lineman group. So the best one out of these two, well, I would say the second best out of these three. I think right edge is pretty wide open. Yeah, you know what? That's how we're going to do it. We might just sit Jamarius Woods for the preseason. We might play him like the first quarter of every game and then let these other edge players play. The most production out of those guys get roster spots. Defensive tackle, it's a little bit different story. The main guy that I want to focus on in terms of roster battling and making a name for himself is this guy, Javon Christian. Rookie out of Tennessee. As you know, all these guys are rookies because, well, everybody's a rookie in the CFL. He's got a 5-year deal. Look at that cap number. Madden, why? He's a 58 overall, at least the Fog of War overall. I'm going to plug him in a lot in the preseason to see if he's got any kind of upside because I think we're stuck with that contract for a long, long time. Taking a look at the linebacker core, we're going to have a battle here between Adrius Watts and Rashawn Stanley, and in fact, throw in Jenkins as well. These guys are really going to duke it out. I expect Stanley to really get an uptick in production because he does have the 3-year contract. We very well might see one of these guys hit the trade market as soon as possible. But a linebacker, it depends on what scheme we want to run. If we want to run a 3-4 scheme, then obviously you know how that affects the linebacking core. If you want to run a 4-3 scheme, then you know that these guys are going to be used a little more often and will demand a third middle linebacker. So I'm not sure. Same story here. Like Housey, he's got a 6-year deal, so it's going to be between Clements and Housey. You know, which of these guys do we want to keep long term? Same narrative here, right outside linebacker. We have a ton of talent here. It's just who's going to be on this team moving forward. And unfortunately, guys, like, I can't show you a whole lot going on. I mean, yeah, these guys can carry the ball. This guy can't. Okay, so what? There's just not a lot going on in terms of usable information. Hit power right here, but it's kind of a toss-up. Here's a really, really sad space. Our corner room is just atrocious, and I hope these numbers aren't right, but I think these numbers are going to point to an uphill climb. As you can see, our third string corner right now, Lecarius Myers is going to be our point of interest here. I need to see interceptions out of him in the preseason. 7-year contract, the longest tenured Viper on the team. He needs to perform. Yeah, in fact, he needs to perform CB1. I need to see that uptick in him, and he very well might get first CB starts just to see if he can handle the workload. Because there are cheaper options here behind him that, on its surface, statistically, I can manage from 3rd, 4th, 5th string cornerbacks. Right now, though, it seems like this is Cameron Benjamin's job to lose. Taking a look here at free safety, the battle is here at the top with Bradley Hardaway and Delvin Watts. It's really interesting to see Madden give Gerard Calhoun, a 31 overall rating guy, 2 years on his deal. I'm very interested to see his speed rating. If he's got any kind of speed, he might be our special teams guy, because I can't trade away like literally the whole team. And I really want to use as many guys as I can, rotating in and out, just because we are a balanced football team. This isn't a team that is meant to wow people. We want to make sure that we forge our identity, and we won't be able to do that until we make sure the right guys are on the field. Strong safety, the battle is not at the top. As you see, O'Neal Stanley's Fog of War stat is much better, and he's a much cheaper option to start here. And wearing number 31, if you're a Seahawks fan, you already know what kind of attitude we want to bring to our strong safety position. But PJ Palmer and Demetrius Bolton are going to be duking out for a roster spot. I expect one of these guys to really pull ahead and to claim a roster spot, and then the other will probably get bunched up with a high-end backup in a trade so we can make some room on the roster. Brady Douglas, please be the kicker of the future. You have a 4-year deal. There's no excuse. Please, Brady Douglas. Please. Punter, I don't care who it is. Just don't be a 0 overall. Or we can put in, depending on this... Oop, going the wrong way. I wonder... So we know Carlos Phillips' kick power, right? So we know his hit power. And we know his... Yeah. So his kick power is 62. I wonder if that's like the same stat for punting. What if we have Carlos Phillips do our punting? I don't know. It's very interesting. All in all, guys, this is the team. I'm really excited for them. I think ultimately Stephen Arnold's got to be the guy that leads this team. Make sure he doesn't turn the ball over a lot. Make sure that he plays the game smart. And ultimately, this team has a lot of good in front of them that I think can bode well in a division that, in my opinion, is, well, fairly winnable, in my opinion. I know I don't sound too confident in saying that. Oh, let's take a look here at the free agent pool just so you guys know who's all out there. Crazy to think we just looked at kickers that were 0 overall, or punters that were 0 overall, and we have kickers out here rated this high. But I know what kind of positions you guys are looking for. These are the quarterbacks that are available right now. Not exactly a world beater. If Terrell Pryor, this I'm going to say this one time, if our quarterbacks flop, or if our backup quarterbacks flop, and Terrell Pryor does not retire at the end of season 1, we're getting Terrell Pryor. We have Jamarcus Russell out here, but Pryor's a rookie here in the game. He'll come really cheap. I would be ecstatic to get Terrell Pryor. Taking a look at our running backs, as you can see, there's a lot of really famous names out here that if you watch football for a long time, you know of these guys. Fullbacks not so much. But here we are. Here's T.O. Here's Houshmandzadeh. I'm very excited to see if anybody is going to pick up these guys and say, you know what, you deserve a chance on this squad. It would be something to see in terms of high-end, high-ceiling talent being brought onto a team that might be a playoff fringe team. We're not going to be that team. I do want to build from what we got here. And the reality is I can't do that if I just say, you know what, I'm just going to build a super team from the free agent pool. I can't do that. So, again, we'll skim through here. Hey, Julian Peterson. Okay. There's some names here I know. I wasn't that old when I started playing this game, but old enough to know some of these guys are pretty legit. Corner, Al Harris, yep. Ellis Hobbs. Trying to see Will Blackman. I remember that name. I don't know why. Yeah, pretty cool to kind of look back in time here at the old Madden and just see, you know, these guys are free agents, so they're not, you know, they're not superstars at this point. Dionne Grant. Oh man. Player details. Oh yeah, by the way, Madden had this. Not like, you know, all the time, but that's how I remember Dionne Grant. He was a Seahawk. Yeah, I was right. Cool. Here I thought I was going to be crazy. I was going to suggest, oh, Dionne Grant, former Seahawk. I didn't want to be ripped to shreds in the comments, but I was right. Here are your punters, and that's it. So all in all, guys, let's take a look here one more time at one more interesting stat here for our roster breakdown. Here's the NFC West. And this is why I think we can really win this division. Quarterback, we're sitting at number 1. And I'm just going to toggle through this. But in the positions where playmaking happens, we're not awful. Although I don't know why our center rating's so low, because I know we have a really good quality starting center. But the drop-off between teams in this division, it is really, really close. I can't wait to look at our punters and see 0. Oh, 38. How generous. We're not terribly too far off. We're right in it. So I don't think we win the division. That's a lot of pressure. I would love to sweep our rivals in this Portland Snowhogs. I think LA's going to win the division. If we get in as a wild card, that's my expectation. I think we win more games than we lose, and we get a wild card berth. And so that's it. I want to hear from you guys down in the comments. What do you guys think in terms of predictions for this team? You've now seen us top to bottom. So what players are you really excited for? What scheme would you like us to run, maybe? What offensive scheme would you like us to run? What defensive scheme would you like us to run? What do you want to see to make the Seattle Vipers one of the most unique teams in this new ZFL? The choice is yours, and I'm ready to have those conversations with you down in the comments. Please, if you've liked what you've seen today, like, comment, subscribe. It's all free, and you can share this video to your friends and say, hey, there's something new on Madden, something creative for Madden content that we have not seen in a long, long time, and it's called Seattle Vipers football right here on Zach Talks Hawks. And until we meet again, guys, get ready. Preseason action will be up next.